The Great Gatsby, Chapters 1 through 5. In his younger and more vulnerable years, Nick Carraway's father gave him some advice that he's been turning over in his mind ever since.
Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had.
Chapter 1. After graduating from Yale, Nick moved to New York City to learn the tips and tricks of the bonds business. He moved into a house that was right next to a bigger house that was on a small but populated island called West Egg, which was right across the bay from East Egg, which was where Nick's cousin, Daisy, lived with her husband, Tom. One evening, the two invited Nick over for dinner. On his way home, Nick spotted the strange man who lived next door, Mr. J. Gatsby. Chapter 2. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg were a strange sight to behold. A gaudy advertisement for some oculist or another in Queens, the sign often seemed to look down on bad deeds like the eyes of God from its billboard, which was in the Valley of Ashes. It was there that Tom took Nick to meet Myrtle, his mistress. Suddenly, Nick found himself dragged along with them as they drove around the city and stopped at Tom and Myrtle's apartment. They invited some neighbors over, and everyone promptly became quite drunk. Chapter 3. Nick's wealthy neighbor, Mr. Gatsby, hosted elaborate parties every week. One day, Nick received an invitation from Gatsby to attend one of these celebrations. At the party, being the bachelor that he was, Nick stuck with Jordan Baker, a female friend of Daisy's from East Egg. With prompting from Jordan, the two of them set off to find their mysterious host. On their search, they discovered that the library was filled with real books. At long last, Nick found out that the man he'd already been talking to for several minutes at the party was actually the great mysterious J. Gatsby. Chapter 4. Meyer Wolfsheim has a nose. Chapter 5. Jordan had finally explained to Nick Gatsby and Daisy's tale of woe, and informed him of Gatsby's wishes. It was time to put the plan into action. Gatsby made sure that Nick's lawn was mowed for the occasion. Daisy arrived, unknowing of any scheme, and Nick introduced her to a stunned J. Gatsby. The pair got along quite well, especially after Daisy found that Gatsby owned the mansion next door. Gatsby offered to show her around.